What up, guys? Your boy Quake, and the shots have been fired towards Eminem, finally, from an artist of a newer generation. As we all know, Eminem dropped a surprise album called Kamikaze this following Friday, and on this album, he was responding to a lot of criticism that he was getting. The criticism he was getting was because of his last album, Revival. A lot of people didn't like it. The sales reflected that, the charts reflected that, and a lot of people were just voicing their opinions on the fact that Eminem had lost it. Well, Eminem responded to a lot of rappers, including rap critics. He responded to Joe Budden, Vince Staples, and most notably Machine Gun Kelly, and even subliminally took some shots at Drake. And as we all know, if you send shots at an artist, they're eventually going to respond, and the first one to bat against Eminem is Machine Gun Kelly. The way Machine Gun Kelly initially responded to those disses that Eminem sent on him on the track Not Alike, he decided to pop a champagne bottle in the bathroom while the diss was playing in the background. A lot of people were confused about this, but as you guys know, Machine Gun Kelly is actually a fan of Eminem, and he's been inspired by him. But because he tweeted something about Hailie in 2012, the relationship between Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly went very sour. But that champagne video wasn't the only response from Machine Gun Kelly. He decided to go on wax once again and go at Eminem. Earlier today, on Labor Day, he decided to release a new diss track going at Eminem called Rap Devil. And on this track, not only is he going at Eminem, he mentions Hailie, he mentions Eminem's ex-wife Kim, and he clarifies why he decided to diss Eminem, not only on this track, but on previous tracks as well. But before he dropped the track, he released a tweet explaining the track. He said, "I'm standing up for not just myself, but my generation. I'm doing the same shit you did back in your day. Life is still real on my side, and I had to take time from the grind to defend myself from someone I called an idol. Love, Rap Devil." So he still showed respect to Eminem and said, hey, I'm just doing what you used to do when you were in your prime, which is commendable. So let's go over the bars and let's break down the meaning behind a lot of these bars, and let's see where this is going to lead. Straight off the bat in verse 1, Machine Gun Kelly decides to mention Hailie. He says, "I think my dad's gone crazy. Yeah, Hailie, you're right. Dad's always mad, cooped up in the studio, yelling at the mic." Here, Machine Gun Kelly is just referencing the track My Dad's Gone Crazy from Eminem's 2002 album, The Eminem Show, which features Hailie on the chorus of that track. And then he just said, "Dad's always mad, cooped up in the studio, yelling at the mic." As we all know, Eminem loves to yell in the newer music that he's releasing. Even though in the past he did, now he does it a lot more aggressively. He continues and says, "About to be 46 years old, dog, talking about I'ma call up Trick. Man, you sound like a bitch. Man up and handle your shit." For those that don't know, Trick is an authority in Detroit, Michigan. He's a rapper that looks out for Eminem a lot. He's well connected in the streets of Detroit, and he said constantly over and over that if anyone goes at Eminem, they're going to have a problem with him, and that they'll never be able to go to Detroit ever again. And in these bars, Machine Gun Kelly is saying, listen, man, you're a grown man, handle your business, stop having somebody else try to defend you when it comes to the street shit. He continues the verse and says, "Mad about something I said in 2012. Took you 6 years and a surprise album just to come with a diss." Now, in these bars, he's mentioning the tweet that I was talking about earlier. In 2012, Machine Gun Kelly tweeted that Eminem's daughter is hot as fuck, and then he said, oh, it's in the most respectful way possible because Eminem is king. But the weird thing about this tweet is that when Machine Gun Kelly sent it in 2012, Machine Gun Kelly was 22 years old, and Eminem's daughter at the time was only 16. She was underage. So that's the really weird thing about this tweet, and I can understand why Eminem is still upset about it to this day. Then he continues and says, "Homie, we get it. We know you're the greatest rapper alive." And what this bar reminds me of is when Rick Ross decided to go at Birdman, because that track was called Idols Become Rivals. He essentially dissed Birdman, but he said, listen, I looked up to you at one point. It's a shame that things have come to this. And this is the exact same thing Machine Gun Kelly is saying to Eminem. Listen, I used to be a fan of you. How did this end up happening like this all over a tweet? I ended up having all these issues with you. Now let's talk about verse 2, because this is where Machine Gun Kelly decides to reveal a lot of behind the scenes things that went on with Eminem, his manager, and the labels. He starts the verse by saying, let's talk about the fact you actually blackballed a rapper that's twice as young as you. Let's call Sway, ask why I can't go on Shade 45 because of you. Let's ask Interscope how you had Paul Rosenberg try to shelf me. Now, the Shade 45 thing, there is proof in that because Machine Gun Kelly has never been on Shade 45. There is not a single video of him on Shade 45. So that there is proof too. In terms of Interscope, having Paul Rosenberg try to shelf him and not release his album, stuff like that, we don't know about, we can't confirm. Machine Gun Kelly is signed to Bad Boy Records, which is under the Interscope label. And as we all know, Eminem is under the Interscope label. So that could be a possibility as to why Machine Gun Kelly hasn't had the major success that a lot of people expected from him. Then he continues and says, let's leave all the beef into 50. M, you're pushing 50. Why are you claiming that I'm going to call Puff when you're the one that called Diddy? Then you went and called Jimmy. The conference called me in the morning. They told me you mad about a tweet. You wanted me to say sorry. I swear to God I ain't believed him. Please say it ain't so. The big bad bully of the rap game can't take a fucking joke. So in these bars, Machine Gun Kelly is claiming that all over that 2012 tweet about his daughter, Eminem ended up calling Diddy, calling up Jimmy, basically Jimmy Iovine, who was at the time the owner of Interscope Records. He's saying that he tried to get him shelved, meaning not to get his album released and not to sell well. And then he says towards the end, he's like, you're the big bad bully of rap, but you can't take a fucking joke. So to Machine Gun Kelly, that tweet was a joke about him, going at, Hailie and saying she's hot and stuff like that. But obviously Eminem sees it a totally different way. Then, just like in verse 1, towards the end, Machine Gun Kelly still shows respect to Eminem. He says, yeah, I'll acknowledge you're the GOAT, but I'm the gunner, bitch. I got you in a scope. So he's still showing Eminem respect regardless of dissing him, and I understand what position Machine Gun Kelly is coming from. If you look up to somebody your whole life and get inspired by him and he inspires your career, to have to go against him is very hard. Then in verse 3, he just continues the onslaught. He says, stop all the thuggery, Marshall. You're living in luxury. Look what you've done to me. Dropped an album just because of me. Damn, you're in love with me. Then in verse 4, he reveals something that I had no clue about, and this would probably be another catalyst as to why Machine Gun Kelly is going so hard at Eminem. In this last verse, he does the same thing he did in those other verses, which is acknowledge that Eminem is a national treasure. He is a legend. He says, I wish you would lose yourself on the record that you made a decade ago. They were better. According to them, you're a national treasure. To me, you're soft as a feather. He continues and basically just says that, hey, you were with Rihanna, you're doing all these tracks, but you couldn't get her number. Then he acknowledges that, they'd made a movie about you, you're in everybody's top 10, but you're not getting better with time. The older you get, you just need to put down the pen. You're just getting very old and nobody's liking your music anymore, stuff like that. And he says, I am the prodigy. How could I even look up to you? You're not even as tall as me, 5'8", and I'm 6'4", 7 punches, hold your head still, which was funny as fuck. Last time he was like, you saw 8 Mile, was at home on a treadmill. You were named after Candy. I was named after a gangster. And then this is where the line that revealed some stuff that I had no idea about. He said, and don't be a sucker and take my verse off of Yellow Wolf's album. So as we all know, Yellow Wolf is signed to Eminem under Shady Records, under Interscope, and apparently Yellow Wolf and MGK, which is Machine Gun Kelly, they made a track together, and apparently according to Machine Gun Kelly on this verse, he says that when he made the track and did the feature, the verse got taken off. Now, why did the verse get taken off? Well, according to Machine Gun Kelly, it was because Eminem didn't want him on Yellow Wolf's album. And there's no proof to this that, Eminem is blackballing him. The only proof is that, like I said earlier, that Machine Gun Kelly has not been on Shade 45, which is Eminem's radio station. He follows that and said, I just want to feed my daughter. You tried to stop the money to support her. So based off of taking, his verse off of Yellow Wolf's album, Machine Gun Kelly could have got paid for that. And now he's taking it personal, saying that, hey, you're taking money out of my pocket, and with that money, I could feed my daughter, and you're stopping that from happening. So now I got a bigger problem with you. And he ends off this verse and this track with some foul shit. He says, "But bitch, I'm from Cleveland. Everybody quiet this evening. I'm reading the eulogy. Dropped an album called Kamikaze, so that means it killed him. Already fucked one rapper's girl this week. Don't make me call Kim." Now that's some fucking foul shit. He's referring to G-Eazy when he says already fucked one rapper's girl this week, because him and G-Eazy are having some issues, beefing. I don't know what the hell is going on with them. I haven't looked into it yet. But he then says, "Don't make me call Kim," which is Eminem's ex-wife and the mother of Hailie. Now that the track review is over, let's talk about what's going to happen after this. First, you have to give respect to Machine Gun Kelly for actually responding on wax. A lot of artists wouldn't have done this. A lot of artists didn't do this. They just responded on Instagram or Twitter, whatever the case may be, stuff like that, which I'll do a video on probably tomorrow or the next day of all the people that responded. So you have to give Machine Gun Kelly respect for going at Eminem bar for bar. I know Eminem is regarded as this legend and somebody that, nobody can go at and nobody should diss, but everyone can get it, man. This is hip hop. It's competitive. I don't think anyone should be held to this pedestal of, hey, they can't be dissed, oh, it's too disrespectful. And if we're being totally honest, Eminem hasn't had the same amount of impact as he's had, earlier in his career and when he was at his peak. Eminem has been relevant for a while, still delivering and still selling a lot of albums. There's no denying that. But in terms of impact in hip hop, he hasn't had it in a while. And everyone has their moment where they're declining or they're not doing as well. Remember when Mike Tyson was dominating, basically called the baddest man on the planet, destroying everyone in the boxing ring? Then Douglas came, knocked him out, and ended all that. And that's what happens. It happens over and over in every field and every career. Not saying that Machine Gun Kelly did that to Eminem, but it's good to have someone challenge an artist of that caliber. Like when Jay-Z gets challenged or when Nas gets challenged, stuff like that. It's good to have competition. So I admire what Machine Gun Kelly has done. I like the diss track. I would love to hear what Eminem comes back with. I don't know if he's going to respond really quickly because Eminem is more of an old school type of rapper. He might respond on the upcoming album that he releases, if he releases another album anytime soon. If he doesn't, we're going to have to wait another 2 to 3 years for a response. Or if he decides to get featured on a track by somebody, he might take some shots at Machine Gun Kelly as well. I do know, though, for a fact that Eminem is going to respond. He is from the old school. He's not these newer artists that take subliminal shots or that, don't respond and just reply with tweets or whatever. He's not that type of person, which you always got to respect. So with that being said, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Machine Gun Kelly went in on Eminem, or did he dig his own grave with this diss track? Because as we all know, Ja Rule, when he mentioned Eminem's daughter, well, you know the story. Ja Rule isn't around anymore. So if you want to support this channel further, you can do so at patreon.com/diverse mentality. For just $1 a month or more, you can help support this channel further. A link is in the description below. Like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe. I do videos like this daily on hip hop news and much, much more. So definitely subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at QuakeGW. Like us on Facebook, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.